Welcome back to The Explainer. Listen, today we are decoding an economic shift that is, well, it's so massive and honestly so incredibly urgent that it's literally rewriting the rules of the global economy right this second. We are standing right on the precipice of a totally new era of work. The old paradigms, they're gone. We're moving into a highly automated future, and fast. Our source material today breaks down exactly what this means, laying out what researchers are calling the AI frontier blueprint, rise of the solo corporation. If you think your corporate job is safe, you're living in a fantasy. Okay, let's dive into this, because that is a massive wake-up call, right? But it's the absolute reality derived straight from the data we're looking at today. The era of human-only labor is officially over. That traditional corporate ladder we were all taught to climb, it's fundamentally breaking down. The sources point out that computing power has just plummeted in cost over the last few years, making AI exponentially cheaper than human capital. We are rapidly, and I mean rapidly, moving from a world where humans do all the heavy lifting to a reality where digital systems take over the bulk of those traditional cognitive tasks. 300 million. Just take a second and let the sheer gravity of that number sink in. According to the research, 300 million global jobs are currently right in the crosshairs, facing being replaced or severely downgraded by this AI revolution. That's a staggering, historic scope covering almost every white-collar industry. Now, before we jump into the hard data and the mechanics of this massive transition, I want to invite you to subscribe to AI Frontier. We're constantly analyzing these shifts, and exploring this data together is going to keep you ahead of the curve as we navigate this monumental change.
Let's move to and see how this builds our roadmap for today. It's super straightforward. Number 1, the collapse of traditional work. Number 2, the rise of autonomous systems. And number 3, the solo corporation blueprint. Section 1, the collapse of traditional work. Think of yourself as the protagonist here, because you, along with millions of others, are facing a real existential threat to your career stability. The old reliable paths, getting that traditional university degree to lock in a safe 9 to 5, they are just failing to provide the shelter they once did. And the absolute proof of this structural shift, look at the brooding wave of the 2024 and 2025 tech layoffs. Our sources indicate these were not just temporary dips or, standard market corrections. No way. The highly paid, super secure tech jobs that defined the last decade were simply the first dominoes to fall. Companies realized that by integrating large language models into their workflows, they could hit their previous levels of output or even higher with a fraction of the engineering and administrative staff. They realized they could do way more with far fewer humans, effectively slamming the door on the traditional corporate era. Section 2, the rise of autonomous systems. This is the AI employee era, and it's where we pivot entirely from fear to massive empowerment and technological discovery. And this brilliantly illustrates the complete shift we're seeing. Notice the critical difference here between a standard software tool on one side and an autonomous agent on the other. Things like ChatGPT, they are essentially software tools. They're fantastic, don't get me wrong, but they require a human to sit there, engineer the prompt, and handhold them step by step. But the new reality is AI agents acting as actual autonomous employees. A tool waits for your command. An autonomous employee, you give it a broad goal, and it uses internal reasoning engines and logic loops to literally figure out the steps to execute it independently. It assesses its own work, corrects its own errors, and just keeps going until the job is done. Let's break down the specific systems leading this charge. You have programs like AutoGPT taking a macro goal and continuously self-prompting to achieve it. Then there's Devin, operating basically as an autonomous software engineer that writes, debugs, and deploys code all by itself. But the real game changer the research highlights, the multi-agent system. Imagine a highly synchronized, interconnected fleet of specialized agents. You might have one agent scouring the web for market data, formatting it, and seamlessly passing it to a coding agent. That coding agent builds a predictive model, hands it off to a testing agent, which checks for errors and sends feedback right back down the line. They operate together as a cohesive digital workforce, communicating, debating, and iterating at lightning speed without you ever having to lift a finger. The new wealth isn't about working harder, it's about managing a fleet of digital agents. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how profound this shift actually is. Take a second to absorb the objective reality of that data point. The old paradigm taught us that sweating it out for 60 hours a week was the ultimate metric of productivity. Well, the data now shows that paradigm is being completely replaced by fleet management. Economic value is no longer tied to how many hours of manual or cognitive labor you can physically crank out. Instead, it is inextricably linked to how effectively you can direct, optimize, and manage an autonomous digital workforce that literally never sleeps. Section 3, the solo corporation blueprint.
This is where we get into the actionable, highly lucrative solution to everything we've just talked about.
Let's walk step by step through how these solo corporations are actually structured. Step 1, you deploy your AI agents for research. These agents scrape thousands of competitor websites to find market gaps and identify exactly what products or services are missing. Step 2, AI for marketing. Instead of hiring a whole marketing team, you use autonomous systems to generate ad copy, create visual assets, and A/B test thousands of campaign variants in milliseconds across social platforms to find the absolute highest conversion rate. Step 3, AI for sales. Your agents handle lead generation by scraping contact data, sending out highly personalized cold emails, and managing every single follow-up. So the crucial point is that these agents execute specialized, high-level tasks continuously. They are running your entire company 24/7, allowing one single person to generate the output of a full-blown traditional corporation.
Because this frontier is moving incredibly fast, the sources highlight how absolutely crucial community is right now. You've got to join the AI Frontier community on Facebook and Instagram for daily automation hacks. It's an amazing space dedicated to sharing exactly how these solo corporations are being built step by step. Getting in there is vital, because in our next explainer, we are going to be diving into the source material on mastering the matrix. I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Will you be replaced by the machine, or will you manage the fleet? As traditional work fades away and these autonomous systems take over, the data presents a very stark choice. Your future and your career stability depend entirely on the action you take today. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will see you on the frontier.